Hey everyone, welcome to Inspired Action, the leadership forecast, where real conversations don't just sound good, they change how leaders show up. I'm your host, Pertuis, and today we've got 3 leaders stepping up, leaning in, and bringing the kind of insight you don't get from a playbook, you only get from experience. So whether you're leading a team, building a culture, or just trying to show up better than you did yesterday, you're in the right place. Let's get started. Hey everybody, welcome to the latest episode of Inspired Action. I'm your host, Pertuis, and I am so excited to be here with these 2 amazing guests today to answer this question. What makes people willing to be emotionally invested in a goal or mission? But before we get started, a quick intro and talk about a powerhouse duo. ChiChi Anyanwu and Yolanda Barnes. ChiChi, founder of New Breath Consulting and Coaching and creator of Leadership Clarity and the New Breath Leadership Compass. After nearly 2 decades working in organizational leadership, leadership development, culture, and executive coaching, she is committed to helping leaders turn clarity into alignment and alignment into results. Yolanda Barnes, founder and Chief Leadership Strategist at the Ashayé Group. She has spent 3 decades at the intersection of people, culture, and organizational performance, from broadcasting and community engagement to enterprise impact strategy and large-scale leadership development. She claims every chapter of her career has been built around a single conviction that when leaders grow, organizations transform. So with that being said, I cannot wait to hear what makes people willing to be emotionally invested in a goal or mission. And ChiChi, I think we nominated you to go first. So take it away. Let's hear what you have to say.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Carl. Nice to meet you, Yolanda. That is a very interesting question, and a question that I've pondered on for a while. For me, I think people become emotionally invested, especially in a goal that isn't originally theirs, when they can see themselves in it.
Yeah.
It's one thing for somebody to understand what we are trying to accomplish. It's another for them to understand, why does this even matter? How do I contribute to it? And why does my contribution matter? What role does it play in all of it? See, that is at that point when they start asking the question, is when emotional investment begins. You know, as a leader, sometimes we believe because we communicated a goal, go, I told you, go do it. But the truth of it is, information doesn't create commitment. It requires some connection. When people can connect to that information, then we can start seeing commitment. There's 3 things that we need as human beings to invest. And those things is all around clarity, right? Why does what I'm doing, what you're asking me to do, matter? What does it mean for us? And what role do I play to make it matter? Why do I matter in the outcome of this goal? One more thing. Is the leader or the person asking me to participate in this goal invested in the goal? Because you can't ask somebody to invest in something that you're not invested in, or something that you think is optional. Because people are not looking at what we say. People are looking at how we're reacting to it. How do we believe in what we say? Because when what you say and what you do are congruent, people start to see it and it's consistent. You start to build trust with people. And that trust is what leads to that investment. When people can now believe that you believe what you're saying, you're going to do what you're saying, and we've seen you do what you're saying, then it's not just about, can you do this thing? It's like, okay, how can we accomplish this thing? And when that conversation changes from, okay, I'll do it, to how can we do it, you've built that accomplishment or that investment.
Love
So
it. Go ahead.
For emotional investment, it comes down to three things: meaning, four things: meaning, clarity, trust, and ownership.
Yeah, yeah. And I hear so much of that alignment, right? That you work with people on in those four things and the way you describe that. And I was thinking about someone who told me one time, people don't emotionally invest in goals, they invest in the meaning, right? Awesome, ChiChi. Thank you. Let's jump over to Yolanda. Yolanda, what say you? What makes people willing to be emotionally invested in a goal or mission?
So, Kyle, I think ChiChi was spot on, but I'm going to reframe your question, right?
Okay.
From what makes people to what inspires people to be emotionally invested in a goal or a mission, because that's what you need. You do not just want compliance from someone. You want buy-in. And that's some of the things that ChiChi was talking about. But as a leader, there's a saying that if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And the way that you do that is a couple of things as a leader, especially clear communication. So as ChiChi was talking about some of those things there, it is clarity around the why, clarity around the goal. And as mentioned before, getting the buy-in from the group. I used to be a leader. I was leading this team and we had an aggressive goal. And so I came in, I'm like, hey, this is what we got to do. But I got some feedback. Hey, Yolanda, I need you to lean back and allow your team to have a voice in the conversation. When we allow people to have a voice, they are able to own that goal, right? They become owners and not renters in this space. And that's what we need, people who will own it together so that you can move together as one cohesive group. And then you got to recognize folks for their efforts. Recognition helps move your team along towards where you want them to be. So communicate with clarity, recognition, and bring all voices to the table, and it will help everyone be inspired to move towards that goal.
I love the reframe to inspiration. And again, people rarely give their heart to somebody else's checklist, right?
Correct.
Yeah, that's hard. It's hard to inspire that level of buy-in. Oh my gosh. If people aren't emotionally invested, we can't start by questioning their commitment, right? We have to question the connection and that buy-in and so much of the ownership that you guys both shared and that we talked about. Well, what do you believe the biggest mistake leaders make or can make when trying to gain or inspire buy-in? What are some of the biggest mistakes you've experienced or that you've seen, or maybe that you've even demonstrated?
No, so it was when you said it, and I reflected back, and it is really about not bringing all voices to the room, right? And it is acting in a space where you are practicing being a reverent leader, where I said it, so we're going to do it. Let's move forward. When you don't have the connection with the people, folks are not going to move. And you have to be clear about the why. Help them understand the change. There's a saying, change is great. You go first. We all want something new, but there's fear in moving forward. So as a leader, part of our responsibility is to remove that for the people that are under us so that they can move forward with clarity and understanding of why this goal is so important for all of us. And as ChiChi said before, demonstrate through your actions. You also have to show that you are invested in that goal.
Yeah, that's so good. And I think in our framework, awareness, connection, engagement, there's a difference between understanding the mission, right? I think there's awareness about an organization's mission. Heck, it's on the boardroom wall. It's on, collaterals. It talks about that. So there's awareness around it. But I think the difference falls in being able to make that connection, Yolanda, that you're talking about, so that people actually feel responsible for that and take responsibility and take ownership. And I think that's where the gap occurs, is somewhere between elevating awareness around it. No, this is important. But then there's the disconnect between Well, why am I important to this?
See, a lot of this is grounded in the skills of emotional intelligence, because a great leader helps their employees feel seen, heard, and valued, right?
Yeah.
Because when you can do that, then the ownership from the employee takes place. Because we've seen things on boardroom walls, and the first spout is, yeah, that's for them, that's not for me, right? Those are the big, they make all the bucks. Why do I need to care? That leader can help the employee connect and really understand why it matters to them.
Yes, so true. So true. ChiChi, what were you going to add?
It's so tempted to say it is this, or that. And when you first ask that question, a whole lot of things pop up to mind, such as leaders wanting to be charismatic and thinking because they're charismatic and they can control the room, people will follow them. But if you really, really think about it, is this whole idea of leadership clarity. And what do I mean by that? It's the idea of not only do you know who you are, what you are about, but it is so clear that other people that work with you understand who you are, thereby learn who they are and how they fit in. What is the goal? What is the expectation of the goal? How are we going to work together in service to this goal? When you're not doing that, everything you're doing is Band-Aid. Everything you're doing is temporary fix. We're talking about connection, ownership, meaning. Is that leadership clarity that creates those things and allow people to see where they fit in. And when they don't, they will comply or compromise as much as they can, but it's not the real thing.
Yeah, that's some sage wisdom right there, right? And I think when you think about relationships at that level, how do we show up in relation to others on our team as a leader and vice versa? And are we connecting at that level to drive the level of emotional investment that maybe is necessary or needed, depending on what the mission of the organization is? So let me throw this one in there just to kind of mix it up a little bit. What would y'all say one thing any leader could do this week that would help them more immediately increase the emotional investment that we're talking about? What's a tip, tactical, executable practice that people can put in place?
I would say know your core. Who are you? When stress, when things are not as planned, when pressure shows, do you know who you are? Can people trust that you will lead the same way? Are you consistent? So once you know who you are and know where you're coming from, pressure reveals that. It doesn't show your leadership. It reveals what's already there. So the one thing you can do to help your leadership is know your core.
Your core. Love it. Yolanda.
And I would advise to check in with your team. When we talked about connection, but connection comes through conversation. It comes through transparency and authenticity. Good morning, good afternoon, and good day. Really easy. How many leaders don't even have that type of conversation with their team? How was your weekend? Right? But really, how was your weekend? Taking that 5 minutes to check in with a teammate allows them to feel seen and more connected with you as a leader. So my advice, connect with your team.
I love it. And the great thing about that collection of tips really is maybe the way I would bring that out. It's not hard. It's just not, right? And we just have to be conscious and check in with ourselves and put in the work. I never really understood why they call some of these things soft skills, because they are hard, right? If they weren't, we'd do it all the time. We would never have issues with leadership. We'd never have issues in relationships. That's not the human element.
There's one thing my husband used to say. He said, common sense is not very common.
Yeah, that's right. It's uncommon sense, right?
So this falls into it, right? Those simple things are actually the hardest things to do.
Yeah.
They call it soft skills, but I don't know. Women are also the weakest sex. So
um, I'll add on and say it requires discretionary efforts. We get so focused on the goals that we forget about the people, but without the people, we cannot reach those goals. So that discretionary effort and that consistency you will then see a return on your investment like you haven't seen before, with your motivation numbers going up, with your sales going up. But you have to, as we've all said, put in the work.
I agree with that. But here is the challenge we have, right? Many leaders are not trying to be leaders. Nobody really sat there and said, this is how you become a leader. That you are exceptionally good in producing something does not make you good in helping others do the same thing, right? So we need to help people understand that, because it's about people. How you work with a computer is not how you work with people. People are multidimensional. They need a whole lot more out of you. And yes, good morning goes a long way. A smile, just walking with somebody. I actually did an experiment where every time for 6 months, every time I went into an elevator, I'll smile at people just to see their reaction. And you know what I found out? It is hard for you to look at somebody, directly smile at them, and then not react.
Right.
It's almost an impossibility. So it's connecting, but we need to train people that it's important to connect.
That's right.
No matter how small.
And I think in this world that seems to be moving very rapidly towards AI, I've never seen AI smile. And I have been telling people for years, as this has kind of surfaced, that I love it. I love AI. I think it's fascinating. I think there are some incredible things that we're experiencing and that we will see. But at the same time, to speak to ChiChi specifically, what you were just talking about with people, I'd like to reclaim AI as awareness and intention. And let's put that in front of people when we engage and lead, right? If we can elevate our awareness and be more intentional about how we're connecting with other people, I think we start to see some of this discretionary effort become more intrinsic and more natural. And we just have to practice those things. Ladies, I wish we could keep going, but we're going to have to wrap this one. And I will leave that by saying both of you are expected to come on another episode in the future. I want to say thank you for making some time to share your experience and your insight. This was a great episode on a topic that can be somewhat challenging, right? And I think it takes time to unpack it. So I appreciate you coming on and sharing your insight with us. Everybody out there, thank you for watching. Be sure to check out the new episodes every Thursday on LinkedIn at noon Central Time, and jump over to the YouTube channel at MindFit Coaching to watch the longer version of the episodes anytime you choose. Thanks again, everybody. Have a great one. Keep taking inspired action. Well, that's a wrap on another episode of Inspired Action, the Leadership Forecast, where real leaders step up, get honest, and move the conversation forward. A big thanks to our guest today for bringing the kind of insight you can't fake, the kind that you earn through experience, pressure, and showing up when it counts most. Be sure to join us every Thursday on LinkedIn for new episodes at noon Central, and anytime on our YouTube channel at MindFit Coaching. But most importantly, keep taking inspired action. We'll see you next time.